Talk with Rajon. I am your host, Rajon Lewis. As you guys know, one of our goals with Real Talk with Rajon is to shine a light on people doing great things in the community. You know, we always focus on what's going on in other cities, whether it be Miami, Atlanta, New York, California even. But right here in Charleston, South Carolina, in the Charleston area, we definitely have people doing great things. And to my left, I have 2019 North Charleston mayoral candidate, Pastor Thomas Dixon. Thank you so much for joining me.
No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, most people know, I wasn't born and raised here in the Low Country. I was born and raised in the projects of Chicago, over 30 years there before leaving. And so that means I'm a come-ya, okay? And a lot of people make issue about that, especially as I have moved into the political realm about, well, he doesn't live here, he wasn't born here. Well, I was born in an urban area, raised in an urban area where gun violence, drugs, gang violence, and the whole nine, economic depravity, poverty, the whole nine existed at. So I have an extensive background history of over 30 years in that environment before leaving there. And I haven't been born black, I'm still black and still subjected to a society where systemic racism is a reality. And so I continue to experience and to grow and to learn from my experiences on how to better move forward and to help our community to be the best that it can. Unfortunately, right now, as it has been, we continue to fight systemic problems that wage against us being the best that we can be, such as our educational system, such as the school to prison pipeline, such as our economic disparities, and the fact that we are being raised in a system that does not allow us to be everything that we can. So to have somebody that's coming along that comes from my background, a background that included alcoholism and drug addiction, a background that includes I've been to prison, but a background that also includes me running for U.S. Senate 2 years ago and coming up with 750,000 votes because the people trusted and believed in not the man, but the message and the mission. And so now it's that same drive and that same understanding of community issues that's going to take me into North Charleston City Hall as the next mayor of the great city of North Charleston.
Okay. And that, thank you so much for sharing that. For those who don't know, Pastor Dixon is definitely in the community. And he did run for Senate 2 years ago, it was?
2 years ago.
2 years ago. So he wants to bring his special brand of change to the area. So what does change look like under a mayoral run of Mayor Dixon?
We have the problem in cities around our nation where certain demographics, certain ethnicities are left out of the equation. And right now, and it has been this way in North Charleston for a long time. You are poor, and a lot of times it is classism as opposed to racism, but our poor, our ethnic communities, our Black communities, our Latino communities are being deprived of the dream that is North Charleston, being left out of the financial equation, being left out the educational equation, being left out in so many different areas. And the only way that I can look at it with a mayor who's been in office now 24 years, who had an opportunity to take care of everyone, but decided he was going to neglect some in favor of others, and to grow a great city, but neglecting people, the greatest asset that we have, then there's something wrong there. So where we go from here is the fact that we need to make sure that everybody within the boundaries of North Charleston and extended beyond those boundaries are taken care of. That when one rise, all rise. There's nobody that needs to be left behind at any time when there's something that can be done, especially from the top down. Anytime that we have a person in leadership who neglects a certain demographic for whatever reason, that person needs to go. He's done great things. Our current mayor has done great things over the years, but for 24 years now also, I mean, when we look at the south end of North Charleston, we look at the condition it's in right now. It just didn't get that way overnight. It got that way on his watch. And it's been allowed to happen. The fact that there's a food desert there, it was allowed to happen. The fact that we have failing schools in North Charleston, our mayor allowed that to happen. And until we get somebody in office, and that somebody is me, let me just put that in there, until we get somebody in office who understands the obligation of a mayor to take care of all who are under his charge, then we're going to continue to see this same downward spiral for blacks and Latinos and even poor whites in North Charleston.
Wow. Okay. So in terms of programs, what kind of programs would you implement that would be different than what Mayor Summey currently has in place?
A lot of the things that it's hard to compare with Mayor Summey with what he has in place as far as the programs, because the programs are more talked about than anything.
Yeah.
What we need to do is, and it starts, I would say, with law enforcement. You know, even though in my conversation just now I didn't really talk about the murder rate and the high crime and things like that. It talks about, but we really do need to look toward a law enforcement department that is understands the value of ethics.
Okay.
And now,
so you'd rein in the law enforcement problem that they're having in North Charleston currently.
That would have to happen. That would have to happen, and that would be one of my first charges. But not to get rid of. I want to make this first perfectly clear. Not to get rid of the North Charleston Police Department as it stands.
Okay.
No. But one of the first things that I would do is to call them all to the table and let them know what my standard of behavior is, my expectations are, and that there'll be definitely ramifications involved, repercussions involved for those who don't want to meet that standard. We either come up or go on, one or the other. And so that's something that has to change. Our community policing in North Charleston has been altered. A lot of the things that were thought that could be done, for some reason or other, since I announced my candidacy in August of last year, there's been some changes made in North Charleston. It's like overnight, we got a new black police chief. We've got
shout out to Reggie Burgess.
Shout out to Reggie Burgess, a man of caliber and distinction that I know is going to be a great police chief under the right mayor.
Okay.
The programs that are being done in the city, the community policing in the city, it's moving along. But there are other things, the economic development and the expansion into inner city communities of economic opportunities. The fact that our schools are not producing 21st century employees, career-wise. So as far as programs, my initial 4 years would be dedicated more toward addressing the systemic problems at a larger area, letting our school board know there will be no such thing as a failing school in North Charleston anymore. It's either that or we pull our funds back, because North Charleston has the largest tax base in the Low Country. We supply money for everybody else. We supply money to Mount Pleasant for Wando. So either our schools are going to come up, and our public schools, not our charter or all others, but our public schools come up, or we'll figure out a way to take our money back.
Absolutely.
From one or the other.
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because a lot of times, the problem that a lot of people have with politicians, particularly, is they feel like sometimes they don't directly speak to how they will solve a problem. They will state that there is a problem, but they don't actually speak directly to how to solve the problem. So I thank you very much for mentioning specific things that you would be interested in doing within your first term. I do understand that a lot of your concern, your interest is the issue of poverty in the North Charleston area. We do know that there are a lot of resources coming to the North Charleston area, thanks to the coming of a Boeing, thanks to the coming of a Mercedes-Benz, and even the Volvo here in the Somerville area. What kind of partnerships would you look to foster within those organizations that would allow more resources to be put towards educating our children?
The educational aspect toward our children, that's one of the major problems that we have. We're not raising up children in our community and educating them so that they can move into the jobs at Volvo and Boeing. So we have to make sure that the educational process is grooming them in order to meet the needs of the 21st century. One of the ways would definitely be that within our school system, that we reinstitute trades at all levels, and definitely expand on trades to include IT. We have to make sure that our children are given an opportunity and not being discouraged as it stands right now. The system the benchmark for success in our school system right now is you will go to college. Not everyone's supposed to go to college. Not everyone is college material. Some people work with their hands. Some of our children are good with their hands. But as long as we tell them that you're a success once you get to college, then what we're doing is we're frustrating them automatically.
Yes.
So restoring trades that will to our school system that will allow our children to be competitive as they move forward, that's one thing. To turn around and say, okay, we have an incarceration problem across America, but we definitely have an incarceration problem here in South Carolina. For Boeing, situated in North Charleston, to dedicate 1 or 2% of their hiring, their training and hiring to those who are incarcerated, to identify them, those that are capable, that can meet the qualifications when they go into the prison system, and train those while they're in the prison system. You know, I've been to prison, and I never met anybody in prison who said they wanted to come back.
Right.
But lack of opportunities coming out in the way that the system is set up for them to be, for those to be tripped up and to come back in, is the reason why we have a high recidivism rate. But for companies like Boeing and Volvo to set aside a percentage of their hiring and to do it through training in the prison system will give those that are in the prison system one hope that there is a future for them, that they can get out, will finish the training inside of the system. And the day they're released from the system, they go into a regular full-time paying job with benefits at one of these major corporations. That's huge.
Wow.
And it'll give others that are in this system some hope that they could also be a part of that same growth.
Wow, that's amazing. That sounds like a great plan. And I honestly don't think I've heard anything like that from any political candidate up until this point. So I think your background definitely gives you a different outlook on the way that things could change for the better in the future. So thank you for having that as well. I do want to ask you, because there's been a big hubbub in the social media community, and I do want to ask you this question because you know me, I'm all about objectivity.
I'm all good.
Mayor Tecklenburg. Mayor Tecklenburg has the city of North Charleston. They have had an issue as far as the policing. And Cajun, which I know you're a part of, issued a report that says that there's been unfair traffic stops as it pertains to minorities. There have been certain activists who reached out and said that you needed to denounce that. Do you care to address that issue today?
Yeah, I have no problem addressing that issue today, or at any time. At any time. Here's the thing. First off, and I'm gonna lead with this. I'm into community empowerment. Anybody that has an issue with anything, if you're not addressing it yourself, don't expect me to. That's first off. That's first and foremost. A lot of lip service and all of that, and nobody got time for that, you know, period. Now, as far as my personal involvement with John Tecklenburg, it was alleged in that whole thing that I've been paid by John Tecklenburg and all of that. Anybody can check my financial records, you know. They're public record. We have to, as a political candidate, I have to account for my money through the Ethics Commission, South Carolina Ethics Commission. So anybody can go to the Ethics Commission, look up my name, and see where all of my monies came from. And I don't even believe I got any money in 2016 from the Tecklenburgs. So I've got nothing from them whatsoever. So I'm not, let's get that out the way. I'm not in anybody's pocket. As a matter of fact, if anybody comes to me and wants to be a part of my campaign and to work and expect something in return, if anybody donates to my campaign expecting something in return, you can keep your money. I'd rather lose the election without money than to take money and owe somebody something for it. That's not the kind of politics I deal with.
What are your feelings on that report and the light that it shines on the policing aspects happening in Charleston?
The report is accurate. Cajun has done extensive work into pinpointing these problems, not only there, but with our school system and many other areas, affordable housing this year. As a member of Cajun, since before they actually hit the ground, I was one of the first people they contacted before, in order just to get Cajun going. I've stood alongside with them all along. Now, when it comes to this thing about me holding press conferences or whatever, one of the things that people don't understand is most of the press conferences that I attend, they're not my press conferences. I'm there with National Action Network, which I am not National Action Network. I'm the coalition. And the coalition is actually a virtual organization. It's not even a $25 I pay and become a member. It's a virtual. Anybody who feels like they want to change this system and get up and get involved and do it can be part of the coalition. So I don't necessarily call press conferences often, but as far as the Tecklenburg situation, being a part of Cajun and they're addressing that, I've kind of left that to them.
Yeah.
I was there actually on the ground in the aftermath of a shooting that happened in the city of Charleston back in 2014 when Denzel Cornell lost his life in an officer-involved shooting. It was said that it was suicide, but there's some strange occurrences like 3 minutes of the video that are missing and whatever. So I was down there with the rallies and marches, and as a matter of fact, Denzel Cornell's father, Dwayne German, was a featured speaker, I believe, last year at Cajun to talk about the same issue. And he and I are very close because he knows that when nobody else was there working with that family in the city of Charleston, I was there. I was there. So there's another issue that I can't be everywhere. That's why I encourage other people to get involved. But many people will talk and they'll say, well, Pastor Dixon is everywhere. We see you everywhere. But I'm not everywhere because I can't be everywhere. And that's why I encourage anybody that has a bone of righteousness in your body and are bothered by these situations to get up and get involved, because I can't be everywhere. Now, if I had an army of people like these Facebook ninjas, that would stand with me in this battle and get up instead of Facebook ninjas instead of just talking, it's get up and get involved. That way I can go handle something else while they go down there and handle that. But that doesn't mean no matter which way it goes, it doesn't mean that I have let anybody off the hook about anything. If that was the case, then I wouldn't even associate with Cajun and their stance as far as John Tecklenburg.
So let me ask you this. As mayor, as a future mayor, how would you handle that situation if you were mayor, if you found out that your police department was having unfair policing tactics?
One of the things that we're going to do in North Charleston during my first term is going to be to actually make sure that an independent audit is done of the cities. Since we can't get the report that was paid for from the DOJ, which I don't understand that, seeing as how Mayor Summey was one of the earliest supporters of Donald Trump before the primaries even. Seems like since we spent money for that DOJ report, all he had to do was call his buddy up, Don, this is the mayor. The people want the report. Can we have the report? And he probably would have released it. But it must be I believe there's something inside of there that we won't want to get out. So
I don't know.
I don't either. Some talk, I know that was me that said that. That was Pastor Dixon that said that. But let's just put this down for the record. Once I'm in, we're going to do a report of the same information, unless that report, information has been altered. We're going to do that report. And if anything is found out to be wrong to the extent even of criminal liability, then we're going to handle it appropriately.
Yes, sir.
Because we need to send a message to the law enforcement community, not only in North Charleston, but Charleston, Sled, and everybody else, that in North Charleston, we're not going to handle bad policing.
Absolutely.
We're not going to tolerate it.
Okay. So let me ask you this. And we had a question from Travis Wood, and he wanted to know, what are your thoughts on the gentrification happening in the North Charleston area?
It was coming. It's been coming. And we as a people in North Charleston, well, how can I say this just nicely? I'm trying to be nice about it. We stuck our heads in the sand as this has happened, okay? It's easy to see what happened in the limited space of the peninsula with the city of Charleston, that once the gentrification in the city of Charleston began to grow beyond its means, it was going to move further north. But instead of us looking at it and addressing it as it was, because we have a mayor who was definitely not going to address it because he's into growing instead of taking care of his people, then we've allowed this to happen because we don't go to the polls when it's time to vote. Mayor Summey didn't have to be in office 24 years. We've let him be into office 24 years. And he's one of those that has supported this gentrification in North Charleston. So what we have to do now is we have to really look and aggressively deal with what's happening, especially particularly on the south end, as far as how that area has been allowed to devaluate,
Yeah.
so that it's in a position for those who want to prey on that area to buy low, redevelop, and sell high. I believe that there are things that we can put in place in order to change that around, to secure a place for those who own property there, and to make sure that they're a part of whatever growth and expansion is coming, because that growth and expansion is going to come.
Yes.
One of the things I never understood about it. I understand on the peninsula, because now I'm not saying it's right on the peninsula because of the limited space that they have on the peninsula.
Waterfront property.
Right. I understand that. But when you get to North Charleston, there's a whole lot of space that can be developed, a whole lot. So why prey on poor people?
Yeah.
Why go to the poor people and I'm going to just gank them out of their homes? We're going to set them up with all kinds of payday lending and all of this here, and low education and no food and no money and everything. We're going to do everything we can to make sure that we run them out of their homes. They've been in there 30, 40 years,
So,
and then we got a mayor talking about
North Charleston look like structurally under a Dixon administration?
The economic growth that we see has got to continue, and the ability to bring more production and economic opportunity into North Charleston has got to continue. But the people who live there first, not the imports, not those who are coming from other places to work at Boyd and everything, but the people who live in North Charleston must be allowed. The things must be offered to them in order for them to come up also, to rise to the occasion. One being the fact that we cannot live on poverty wages in North Charleston anymore. Poverty wages is going to keep people in one place. Poverty.
Yeah.
That means that there's no room, there's no hope, there's no nothing.
So your thoughts on a living wage?
On a living wage of $15 an hour, which that'll be something that right off the bat, we will go to the chamber and we will go to small business and we will figure out just how to work it. I mean, we can put people on the moon. We can do open heart surgery. We can change out hearts in people. We can figure out a way to pay our people $15 an hour, starting wages, give those who have been on the job an increase in order to make sure they're not feeling neglected, and also turn around and not bankrupt our small business.
Wow.
We can do that. And I'll go ahead and explain how it goes for those that might catch on to it. The people who make the least amount of money spend the most money. So at $7.25 an hour, those people spend all $7.25 and some more. They go to pay their loans and everything and spend some more. But they're the ones that are really feeding the economy. Now you take $7.25 and you double that up to $15. They're going to spend that too.
Right.
So where are they going to spend it? Back into the same economy that we have. It stimulates the economy, so that even the small businesses who might not have to jump, who wouldn't have to jump up right off the bat into a $15 an hour bracket, but as they see as time goes, that increase is going to be spent with them. It's going to be spent in their stores and in their businesses, and they're going to increase, and they'll be able to hire other employees. And after they reach a plateau and they exceed that plateau, then they're going to have to increase their wages also to come up also. So everybody rises. Unless all are rising, nobody rises.
Absolutely.
What we do is we actually create criminal conditions. Poverty creates criminal conditions.
Absolutely.
Because you got people who want stuff and they go take it. Or they'll sell dope, and that's why you catch Ray and Pookie and them out there on the block, because they can't get a decent job. And many of them, if they had a chance to make $15 an hour at an honorable job, and I said, I don't care who says what, an honorable job of flipping burgers at McDonald's. Anytime a CEO can give himself an $8 million raise in a year, it's an honorable job. He just don't want to pay the people that's making the money. But those that are on the block, they would surely, as opposed to either dying out on that block or going to prison on that block, they'd go flip burgers for $15, because at the end of the month, it feel good putting money in my mama's mailbox, and they would, for sure. But they would, I believe they would do that. And I've talked to some of the brothers out there on the corner, not only here, but in other cities, and they would definitely do it.
Absolutely. So we have a question from Joe Robinson. Shout out to Joe. What's up, Mr. Joe?
What's up, Joe?
I live in Goose Creek, where there's a grocery store on every corner. What would you do to bring grocery stores back to the Black community in North Charleston?
Yeah, we the fact that we can't get a grocery store in North Charleston is a myth. It's a part of the same scam that's being run on the South End to say that it's part of that, of being allowed to self-destruct. Why should we put a grocery store there now? I guarantee a grocery store is planned for the future, when all them black folks down there, the poor people down there out the way, and crime is dropped and whatever.
Wow.
Then they go bring the groceries. Go, no problem. Wow. But until then, what we have to do is we have to understand, okay, we need to go out our way in order to get a grocery store down there, which I don't, it's a personal feeling. I don't believe that the mayor has done that. There was money allotted in order to do that, and that money, some of that money is actually, I think, disappeared.
That was wasn't that the Trump deal?
Well, no, that was another. That was something. I don't even want to talk about the corruptions or whatever. Yeah, anybody that wants to know about the corrupt practices that have been going on in North Charleston, please just Google it and post the Courier. It's all right there. It's all right. I don't have to talk about it.
I don't want to go there, but I definitely Google that.
Yeah, definitely. But the grocery store there should have been a grocery store there a long time ago. But it's been allowed not to be built there because that's part of the program. Let's leave the predatory stores that are there, and I call them predatory stores that are there, that have no fresh fruits or vegetables in them, high sodium content products that are outdated and triple priced at many times, that sell alcohol and have pornographic materials at eye level right next to the candy our children go in, and where drug sales are allowed both inside of the stores and outside of the stores. That for some reason or other, our law enforcement just seem like they go find somebody else that ain't doing nothing. Instead of going there and dealing with the folks that's slanging and banging right there.
Wow.
So yes, we can fix that. We not only can, we will fix that.
Absolutely. So I want to reset. This is Real Talk with Rajon. I'm the host, Rajon Lewis, and I'm sitting here with 2019 North Charleston mayoral candidate, Pastor Thomas Dixon, and we're just having a discussion about his candidacy and the things that he plans on doing in the city of North Charleston when he becomes mayor. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave those questions right here in the comment section, and I'll be glad to ask that question. We have one right here from Travis Wood. It says, is there a way to expand the 526 bridge into Mount Pleasant?
I believe that's part of I believe it's in the works. I believe it's in the city planning. I can't say for sure. That construction, it deals with Department of Transportation and state. So there has to be. Let's just put it this way. I'm one of those people that will never say what can't happen. I prefer to say what can happen. And given the authority to make things happen, I will do my best to make sure that happens. Right along with the fact that to ensure that our rapid transit system becomes something that rivals any modern rapid transit system throughout the United States. Right now, we are we got like Flintstone rapid transit. Our rapid transit is in no way rapid. And right along with the fact that neither are our highways. Our I-26 situation is crazy. It's crazy. And when they widened it a few years ago, I don't even understand who came up with that plan, because it's got it's the same bottleneck. I guess they figured widening it meant that more people weren't still coming, but more people have come since then. So we got the same bottleneck, same problems or whatever, until somebody thinks proactively about how to fix these situations instead of retroactively. And that's all I've been seeing is retroactive, after the fact, we get swamped down in traffic, till we get the handle on these things, thinking proactively and really think outside of the box on how we're going to do it, then we're going to continue having the same problems.
My question, we have another question. I'm going to get to your question, Ms. Yolanda. Thank you so much for your question. I have a question about how do you plan on working with the larger community to bring the changes? Because we can talk about, doing a lot of things structurally within the government, but we know that without the people being on board with the mission, it's virtually impossible to do anything. We can throw all the money at the problem that we need to, but we have to change the hearts and the minds of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So what would be your plan to get the people who are in those poverty situations? Because
Mm-hmm.
poverty is a mindset. It's not a financial situation. It's a mindset.
That's right.
If you're poor in your mind, you're poor in your heart. You're poor in your,
Mm-hmm.
usually poor in your pocket. So how would you attack the issue of the mindset of poverty?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're poor in your pocket because you can't, because there's a poverty wage cap,
mm-hmm.
then it's a circle.
Yeah,
it's a circle jerk.
Yeah. Okay.
One of the biggest things that we have to understand is that having somebody who understands the hood,
mm-hmm.
somebody who understands the lifestyles and will not point fingers at people, somebody who understands that telling folks, you know, we can't raise your children, that's not a viable statement. To be able, for somebody who knows the community to be able to not only address the needs of the community from the community standpoint,
mm-hmm.
but also to be able to show the community a better way for them, somebody that, and I'm going to put it this way, that looks like them, that comes from that environment, for them to be able to look up and say, wow, you know, look at this guy. This guy came from alcohol and drugs, born and raised in the projects of Chicago, high school graduate, prison system, to the mayor's office.
Wow.
What kind of impact is that going to have on a community whose mindset has been, this is all we got.
Wow.
This is all we can get.
We can do.
How is that going to play out to Ray that's sitting up in county jail, mm-hmm. or Department of Corrections, when they say that inmate 262513, formerly Thomas Dixon, now Pastor Dixon, now Mayor Dixon. Mm. If he can do it, I can do it.
Wow.
And especially to get that same message coming out of the mayor's office publicly.
Absolutely.
If I can do it, you can do it.
Absolutely.
My job is to empower people at all levels, not just at the lower levels, but at the upper levels, because there's something inside of people who have it, mm-hmm. who want to do something with it, mm-hmm. and to be able to channel it in the right directions and not allow it to be diverted or run through a system that is not necessarily upright all the time. Uh-huh. For them to be able to believe in somebody that has ethics and morals and accountability and transparency. Mm-hmm. I do believe that the change of heart that needs to happen not only can happen, but it will happen.
Absolutely. Wow, mm-hmm. That's a great message. I do want to get to this question. Yolanda Gibbs asked, mm-hmm. What are your plans for the old Naval Hospital?
Yeah, I guess I can reveal it. Some of it.
You know, he doesn't want to go too much into his campaign.
Yeah, I'm trying not to, because what happens is, you know,
people start copying ideas.
Yeah, really, seriously, and that's why, you know, I can sit here with you for hours and talk and not go into, you know, Mayor Summy this and Mayor Summy that, right. And he didn't do that and this, that, and
because it's not about attacking. It's about a plan forward.
Where we're going from here. Now, I will say I do have a specific plan for the Naval Hospital that not only includes all economic brackets, but all people that are in need within our community, from the homeless to the battered women, to our military, to our ex-offenders who are coming out of the system, a tri-county effort, Charleston, Dorchester, Berkeley County effort, that I will be pushing strongly, mm-hmm. in order to ensure that that piece of property will be the people's property. Mm. Let me put it that way. Mm. And it includes rapid transit also.
Awesome. I have one more question, and then I want to get to a couple more questions that I had, mm-hmm. for you, and then we're going to close out because I don't want to leave us on here too long because people tend to get like antsy. So Jarvis Wood asked, what are your thoughts on the current police chief of North Charleston? We talked a little bit about it before, mm-hmm. Maybe you missed it, so I'll let you go back to that if you like.
Yeah, I believe that Chief Reggie Burgess is a man of caliber and distinction, is going to be one of the greatest police chiefs, not only that North Charleston has seen, but the state of South Carolina and the nation has seen. He's fully equipped and capable to do his job. Right now, though, he's up under the wrong leadership. Mm-hmm. He's up under a leadership that in some ways, and I don't know for certain, might have his hands tied because of the hierarchy. It's my understanding that the former chief has been placed in a position above him but below the mayor. I don't know whether he is a liaison between Chief Burgess and the mayor or what, but for the chief to be able to operate with a mayor who understands the needs of the community, the entire community, not just a certain community. Our current mayor, he showed himself last year when we took the situation about the gunfire up in at Northwoods Mall to him, and he got a little upset, and he said, you know, we can't raise your children. And then he also said that, you know, well, you know, when you know your children, when I was a child, I used to hustle pop bottles and sell vegetables on the corner and shine shoes. Well, that tells me that he's totally out of touch with 21st century America, not just North Charleston, but America. So to have somebody that's a mayor who will work along with Chief Burgess, who understands the gun violence situation to the point where just last November, I was actually elected to the National Board of Trustees for the Brady campaign to prevent gun violence.
Wow.
I was also recognized this year for my work in preventing gun violence by the National Bar Association. And I come from the hood where gunfire and gun violence was a regular thing. And I know how they come. All these guns ain't coming from nobody's break-ins. And I tried to tell, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running now. I tried for a long time to tell North Charleston Police Department what I know to bring my expertise to the table.
Yeah.
They just looked at me and shined me on. They're not going to shine me on as the mayor because I call the shots now.
Absolutely.
You know, and we're going to break that whole thing down. So Chief Burgess, great man, and it's going to be even greater under a greater mayor.
Wow, great response. So I want to end on a couple questions because I do want to make sure that I get to the concerns of the people, and I'm probably going to go ahead and open up the lines now. So if you'd like to call in and speak to mayoral candidate Pastor Thomas Dixon, the number is 843-900-6847. That's 843-900-6847. The Real Talk lines are now open. So if you would like to ask him a question live on air, please call in and I'll put you on the air and we can ask him that question. I want to ask you a question about, make sure you let me know that you're calling in, so I'll look for the call, by the way. A picture that recently came out with you with new Black Panther
Bobby Worthy.
What is the relationship there? Is there a relationship there, or was that just a photo op situation? I'm trying to.
There is no relationship there. Let me give the background on it. We've been involved in a situation with a young man who's been wrongfully incarcerated by the feds. His name is Timothy Taylor, in relationship, we believe, to the Brittany Drexler case, not even dealing with anything that he's actually done. So we've been working with his parents, his mother and his parents, to get him released. And at some point, she made contact with the new Black Panther Party, and Bobby Worthy, who is an attorney, filed what's called a jurisdictional question or something, jurisdictional challenge. And so he started working along with her. And we had one march. Okay, he wasn't at the march was like 2 months ago. We had a rally before the march that happened this past Saturday. We had the rally last Wednesday, 1 week ago. And that's when I saw him again. Prior to last Wednesday, I hadn't seen him since 2015 in the aftermath of Mother Emanuel, when we held a press conference the following day, asking both him and the new Black Panther Party and Minister Malik Shabazz not to come to Charleston to stir up trouble. If they wanted to come peaceably, if they wanted to come in peace, no problem, you know, but not to stir up trouble. But apparently, I don't know, that's what they do. So when I saw him that Wednesday, I was like, I'm one of those people that, okay, all right, maybe he's different now. So we had the rally, and that's where the pictures were taken. I took pictures. Everybody that was there took pictures along with them. Then we had the march Saturday. And there was a little bit of a problem because he more or less showed that it hadn't changed much. It was a somewhat a problematic situation that I really don't want to deal with. But I learned from that: fool me once, shame on you; fool me twice, shame on me. I won't be fooled again by him. So that's where that picture came from. You know, that's where it came from. It's not we're not allies. We don't roll like that. And personally, you know, I really don't have any time for anybody who has personal agendas when it comes to helping people. We either going to help people or you take your personal agendas and go on about your business.
Absolutely. And I can understand it. I want to make sure I address that because there was something that was put out by, I believe, the Secessionist Party.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure I got you, give you an opportunity to address that situation.
Can I speak to that also?
Please.
That is I saw several people post that as if that was like supposed to hurt me. But it was more funny to think about, especially African Americans who posted that up. It seems like promoting the Secessionist Party. The same people that I have successfully filed a lawsuit against for disrespecting a black woman and her two children a year ago.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'm about the only black man that has done that. Okay. So I thought it was really funny that people would post that up and then not think about how that makes them look. Yeah, you supporting the Secessionist Party, the Confederate flag people, just because it got Dixon picture on there? So something's wrong.
So let's speak to, and I guess we can close out on this point right here. Unity. What is your take on the road to unity for the African American community in North Charleston, in the larger Low Country area? What do you think is the path towards that? I had Miss Cleo Thomas on a couple weeks ago, and we talked about the gap between the older generation of activists and the younger generation of activists. How do we bridge that gap?
We got a bunch of old activists who hard-headed, who for far too long have discounted the credibility of a new generation that thinks differently, acts differently, and responds differently from the way they do. They continually talk about that's not the way we did it, or back in the day.
Right.
I'm not trying to feel all of that. What I'm trying to do is empower our youth today. That's why a large part of what I do is aimed at the millennial generation. It's aimed at the 18 to 40-year-olds to try to bring them on board in an environment where they can express themselves, be respected in that expression, and not only that, to embrace and to nurture them as they move forward as the new leaders of tomorrow. Wow. Real leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. And I don't need followers. What I need to know is that there are millennials, there are Gen X, Gen Z, or whatever gen is coming up, that are being groomed in order to make sure that my granddaughter and my grandson, that their children are going to be under qualified leadership. Not leadership that I told this the way you have to do that. Here's the template that we use, because things have changed. But who have been nurtured in the ideals and the moral responsibility we have one to another, to not just go off helter-skelter and half-cocked and wind up having people in trouble or hurt. There are some things that we can each learn from each other. But if we don't come to the table with that thought process, we can never move forward. Unity, the word community, the root of that is unity. And the prefix is COM, and COM in Latin means with. So community means with unity.
Yes.
And until we get down into our community, roll up our sleeves, give up the term hood, turn it around, have all of our people understand our self-worth, that we were put here for a purpose, and it wasn't to hang out, drink booze, do dope, or sling drugs, kill each other. That's not what we were put here for, or to populate a prison system, the new slavery system. Until we get to that point, then we're going to continue to not operate as a community. Unity is key, and I do believe that in North Charleston, under my mayorship, that we can establish a new level of unity that not only will shine here in South Carolina, but across this nation. Wow. We'll be able to show the world how it's really done, how a rising tide floats all boats.
Yes, sir.
And that we will, when we talk about no child left behind, we're going to talk no person left behind. And until we have that type of leadership in City Hall, we're going to continue to have the problems that we have right now.
Wow. Well, I guess we can end right there. because that sounds like a good benediction right there, if you will. Hey, man, you're a
Amen.
pastor, you know what I mean? I'm just saying.
Amen.
But again, I want to thank you so much for joining me. This was an
Mhm.
amazing interview, and I thank you for giving me the opportunity to shine a light on what you're doing. For those who had an opportunity to hear what he has to say, I hope you got the full understanding of who he is. We opened it up for questions. We opened up phone lines up. We didn't receive any calls, but that's okay. If you still can call 843-900-6847. And what I will do is, if you guys send me a message, if you send me a call with a question, or even if you send him a question after this, I will tag him in that question.
Absolutely.
So that he can receive it. As I explained earlier, I do take each of these interviews and I edit them so we can make sure we have a more cleaned up version. I do apologize for the technical difficulties earlier. You did not miss anything from the interview because we started it right over once we realized we had technical difficulties. So once again, thank you so much, Pastor Dixon,
Thank you.
for your time and for your energy. We wish you all the best in the coming election 2019. Real Talk with Rajon's cameras are always open to you. If you want to come back on and talk about anything, please come on back, and we'll love to have you on board.
Before we go, today is the 9th of May. There's 3 more days left to get registered in order to vote in the primaries, June 12th primaries. Okay, people, folks, we have to vote. Our primary elections right now are going to decide who we're going to have running in November. We have a chance to touch on that right now, and we need to get registered so we can vote in the June 12th primary. The June 12th primary will set us up for voting in the November 6th election, the midterm elections, where we'll elect people to the State House. Right now, we have a problem in the State House that all of the things that we might have talked about today, including some things we didn't, such as health care for all and things like that, there's a group of people who outnumber us in the State House, and we need to flip that. We need to turn that over. And the only way we can do it is if we quit sitting around talking about our votes don't matter. If you're an ex-felon, now I gave you my number, 262-513. I'm an ex-felon. I vote in every election, and I almost won the U.S. Senate 2 years ago, and I'm going to win for mayor of North Charleston next year. If I can vote, you can vote. So if you're not on probation, if you're finished with probation, pardon, and parole, you can vote. If you're on child support and you're behind in your payments, you can still vote. Please get registered. Let's vote. Let's turn this thing around. Definitely next year, 2019, I need a landslide turnout at the polls. 34,000 people did not vote in the last election, 2015. Wow. I need every one of the 34,000 to vote in this election. Wow. And let's show City Hall, North Charleston City Hall, and our current mayor and anybody else that might be running that you believe in truth, justice, integrity, transparency, and accountability from your public official.
Wow. So if they want to find you, if they want to follow your campaign or follow you personally on social media, what's your contact information?
You can connect with me primarily right now on Facebook while my webpage is being built. Facebook, you can find me under my first name, Thomas, Thomas, last name Dixon, Dixon. That's one page. You can find me under Dixon for Mayor 2019-North Charleston. Lock into that page, or you can find the coalition has 2 pages. The coalition, People United to Take Back Our Community. Any one of those ways you can get in touch. Anything that I'm doing at any given time, I put there so people know what's happening. If you don't like me and don't even want to be bothered with me and you just want to be a part of change, log in there and see what's happening, and then get up and get involved. Indeed. You know, I'm not in this for likes. I don't do this to win friends and influence people. I do this to make our community better.
Indeed. Indeed. Thank you one more time for shaking your hand. Thank you. Great man, great words. And I really appreciate, like I said, him coming in here and giving you guys an opportunity to as you can see, he sat in here, he fielded questions, he answered every question that I gave him, and I definitely thank you for that. As you know, this is Real Talk with Rajon. This was our local celebrity spotlight. I will be back here next week. And my guest next week actually will not be here. I will be going to a location for the Spot 47 Fair Grocery Store. So I'm excited about that interview next Wednesday night from 7 to 8 o'clock. So please, please, please make sure you tune in. And you know, Sunday nights from 7 to 8, Real Talk with Rajon Live. We have lots of things to talk about. We're talking about that Donald Glover video that just came out. The people are talking so much about. We'll be getting on that. So don't get tired of talking about it before Sunday because I want to talk about it too. All right? But as I always say, thank you for your support, thank you for your time, thank you for your energy. But at the end of the day, if a man doesn't stand for something, he will fall for anything. That's real talk. Thank you. See you next week. Peace.